girls. I am Professor Katie, your science lady, and I am here to do some science experiments with you. Shout out to the Veritas Christian Academy PFC for getting me these nice threads so that we can do some science lessons together. So today's experiment we are going to do is called hopping corn. And so what I have is I have a science sheet that will be attached to the video. And on our science sheet, we're going to write our name and our date and the science experiment name, which is hopping corn. And then our materials. We need to write down what materials we are going to use for our experiment. So we have some white vinegar, which you're probably thinking, wow, Professor Katie, that's a big bottle of vinegar. Well, I also use it for cleaning. So we have some baking soda that we're going to use. We have a clear jar to put our science experiment in. It's good to use a clear jar so that you can see what is happening when our science is doing its thing. So we have, we're going to need some tablespoons. We have some food coloring, and we have some popcorn kernels because we are going to see how our corn is going to be hopping, how that's going to happen. So let's get started. Oh, and we have water. Let me get my container of water. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some water in our jar, just like that. So it's about a fourth of the way, almost a halfway full of water. Then what we're going to do is we're going to, I have tablespoons, the big one, the big spoon on here. I'm going to put some baking soda in here because we need 2 tablespoons. And I use this for cooking, so I want to be able to, be able to get my 2 tablespoons of baking soda out. And I only have this little open area, so let's put it in this jar so that we can get that for our experiment. I think that would work a little bit better than trying to stick my tablespoon jar into the container of baking soda, because, come on. There we go. That looks like about 2 tablespoons. All right. So we are going to do 2 tablespoons. So here's 1. We're going to put that in here. And then 2. Going to shake it to level it off. 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to use this just to kind of stir it up. So we want our baking soda to kind of dissolve in there. Mix all up. So there we go. And then let's put some food coloring so that way you can see it a little bit better. Because right now, as you can see, it's just, kind of like a white-ish, milky-ish looking water. So let's do the color blue. That would kind of be fun. So let's do 1, 2, 3 drops of blue. Ooh, look how it's swirling in there. Does that look super cool? Because it's still swirling around from when we mixed the baking soda in there. Nice job. So next what we're going to add is we're going to add some popping corn. These are corn kernels. And so we have some states of matter. We have some liquid that's in there. Ooh, look how cool that looks. This is why I love science. Science is super cool. Can you see it mixing and it's kind of swirling down? I love it, I love it. It's amazing. So now we're gonna add our popcorn kernels. There we go. Ooh, look what it did to the water. It kind of helped it mix the blue food coloring in there. So we have that. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to add our vinegar. Move this stuff out of the way so you can see better. All right, so now we're going to add our vinegar to our jar. So we have 1 tablespoon. Ooh, look what's happening. It's bubbling up. And 2 tablespoons. Let's see what happens. Do you see the bubbles? Can you see what's happening? Watch carefully. Do you see how the popcorn kernels are floating up to the top? Watch. Can you see? And then they're sinking. Can you see it? I can't move it. Otherwise, I would put it up closer to the camera. But you just have to look carefully. Can you see it in there? So the popcorn is floating up. It's hopping. Sinking down. Some of them are floating up. Sinking down. Can you see that happening? Isn't that amazing? I love science. It's so super cool. It's awesome. So let's kind of talk a little bit about what is happening. Why is it doing that? How is the corn hopping? Well, it is because when you mix vinegar and baking soda, it forms what's called a gas called carbon dioxide. And what carbon dioxide does is it's those bubbles that you see in like soda when you drink soda. So carbon dioxide, what it's doing to the corn is the little bubbles are attaching to the corn kernels, kind of like if you're swimming and you had floaties, and it's kind of making them float up to the top. But once they get up to the top, the bubbles pop, and that's what's making the corn kernels sink down to the bottom. And then what happens is more bubbles attach to that corn kernel and make it float back up to the top. But then when it gets to the top, it goes pop, those bubbles pop, and then it sinks back down. So it's a whole cycle. I don't know if you can see it. It's a whole cycle of it doing that, going up and down because of those carbon dioxide bubbles and what they're doing to the corn. So it's really super cool. I've done this science experiment before with raisins, and so we call them dancing raisins. So that's kind of a fun. So if you want to try that with raisins, you can. It's the same exact thing, except for popcorn kernels, you're going to use raisins. And so you get to make your raisins dance. But this is hopping corn. So what you're going to do is before, you want to write what happened before in your science experiment. Before we put that vinegar in, what was happening? Well, the kernels were stuck down to the bottom of our jar. But once we put that vinegar in, the after is that the bubbles were making the corn kernels float up to the top. And then when the bubbles popped, it sunk back down. And then the bubbles attached to the corn kernels and it made it float up to the top. And then the bubbles popped again. So it's just kind of going up and down and up and down. And even while we're talking, it's still doing it. It's going up and down and up and down. So it'll go for a while because the chemical reaction is still working. So if you want it to keep going more, then all you have to do is just add more of your baking soda, which is this, and you can add more vinegar. And again, it will make that chemical reaction, and this is what you get. You get hopping corn. It's awesome. Again, shout out to Veritas Christian Academy PFC for my sweet threads. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed this super science experiment. I'm Professor Katie. Have a good day.